This next lesson is lesson 8. It's all about possessive pronouns. When I think of possessive, it's answering the questions of whose is it, and I always think of the silly little seagulls in Finding Nemo, and they're like, mine, mine, mine. And so they're very possessive. They're claiming it. They're saying who it belongs to. So let's take a look. How can I tell the difference between possessive pronouns to identify it as just a pronoun or maybe another part of speech? So let's take a look at this sentence. That is mine. Mine replaces my name. Instead of saying that is Heather's, I say that is mine. So when it replaces a name, I could say it's a pronoun because it replaces a noun. But take a look. My answers the question of who it belongs to, just like mine does. But here we see that my modifies another word. My modifies cat. If cat is a noun and my modifies cat, then I know that my is actually functioning like an adjective. And so let's take also a look at this nice little chart to help determine which case that we're going in. So we have what's called a first person, second person, third person that you guys have been getting used to. And in the singular, we have my, and in the plural, it's our. In the singular, it's your, and in the plural, it's still your. Because we don't do all y'all or anything like that. The third person is, it is his, it is her, its, or their if it's plural. So this little chart will help you. And as the possessive independent, we have words like mine, ours, yours, his, hers, and theirs, and it's still under the category of first person, second person, third person. So we're going to be using this chart to help us out. Let's go ahead and try number 1 and read the directions very carefully. Number 1 says, underline the possessive case pronoun. On the line, write S for singular or P for plural. Then circle first person, second person, or third person. Let's take a look at number 1 together. The Tylers trusted their Heavenly Father to protect them. I'm going to underline the pronoun that answers a question of possession, whose. Did you underline their? Don't get fooled. Just because them was in there, them doesn't answer. It's not a possessive question. It's not asking whose. But there is asking the question of whose Heavenly Father? Their Heavenly Father. So if you underline there, you've correctly identified the possessive case pronoun. Their refers to all of the Tylers. So is their singular or plural? Plural. Now let's take a look. There, does that belong in the first person? My, our, mine, ours. Second person, your, yours, yours. Third person, his, her, its, theirs, their. So it's definitely a third person. Go ahead and use the chart and try to do 2 and 3, and we'll correct in a moment. When you correct, I don't want you to get fooled by any old pronoun. Right now we're specifically looking for possessive pronouns, things that answer the question of whose. So my is the pronoun that you underline. My answers the question of whose bedroom. So my, is that singular or plural? Well, how many of me are there? Just one. So singular is the answer. What person is that under? Look at your chart. First person is correct. Number 3, there's there's 2 to choose from. You could choose you or your, but only your answers the question of possession. Whose address? Your address. So you underline your. Your is, will you please give me? So we're talking to one person, singular or plural. Unless we're talking to a whole group. This is a little bit tricky, so you could actually put singular, whether you're talking to one person, or plural, like you're talking to a whole group of people, but you're addressing them as you. So you could put singular or plural, and it would both work. And what person is it in? First, second, or third? Second person. Very good. Number 4, the floor plan of the weaver's new home is quite similar to ours. Whose? Ours. Ours is independent. It stands for that possessive independent. And take a look. What person is it in? The first person. Very good. And ours has to do with plural. So you put P for plural. Number 5, Sherry said the fourth desk in the second row is mine. The desk is whose? Mine. Mine is what you underline. Mine is under which person according to the chart? The first person. Mine has to refer to how many people? 1. So you put S for singular. Let's go ahead and correct. Number 6, it says underline the possessive pronouns, write whether each word is used as a pronoun or adjective. You're looking for pronouns that answer the whose question. Whose is it? Number 6, it's pray. Since pray is a noun, it's has got to be acting like an adjective because it modifies that noun. Number 7, mine is mine. Mine is acting, it's not modifying anything, so it's just acting like a pronoun. Number 8, your house. Your is what you underline. Since house is a noun, your describes the noun, so it has to be acting like an adjective. Number 9, hers. Hers. On hers. It's not modifying a noun, so it has got to be acting just like a pronoun. Number 10, our church services. Services is the noun. If it's modifying a noun, it's got to be acting like an adjective. There you have it. The next set of instructions for number 11 and 12 says to write an imperative sentence using me as an indirect object. So remember, King Imperative loves to give orders. When me is used as an indirect object, it kind of looks like this. Get me my blankie. Me answers the question of whom do you get the blankie for? The answer is me. So can you write your own imperative that's kind of like this, but a little different? The next part is to write an interrogative sentence using I as the subject. Now, usually we're used to writing you as a subject of interrogatives because we're asking you to do things. So remember, interrogatives ask questions, but here's an example where I is the subject. Will I take a nap? I don't know. I probably will. So make sure to ask a question using I as the subject. It could be similar to this, but please make it a little different. I like that number 19 went ahead and, I'm not skipping anything. I want you to go ahead and do 13 through 18, but I want you to do it on your own. I'm going to help you with some diagramming and maybe 1 or 2 trickier ones. I love how number 19 already gave you some diagramming help by putting down the bones of that structure, but let's go ahead and ask our question. I could either look for the verb or the subject, but let's look for the subject by asking what or whose the sentence is about. If you found pages, you are correct. That is the subject. Pages, and now I'm looking for the verb or verb phrase. Were. If I could replace were with an equal sign, I know it's a linking verb, and now I'm going to be looking for a predicate noun or predicate adjective. Pages equal what? Fragile. They equal fragile. Does anything modify pages? I have the pages. Now I have a prepositional phrase. Of, now he's the object of the preposition. Primer. What kind of primer? The old. A primer is like an elementary reading book. That's what a primer is. Does it have anything that modifies the word fragile? Oh, just how fragile were they? Extremely fragile. Don't forget parts of speech. If I know that this is my subject noun, here's my linking verb. Fragile is my predicate adjective, but what modifies my adjective is an adverb. And here is another adjective, and here's my preposition and my object of the preposition, and more adjectives. So this just is a quick refresher on all those parts of speech. Number 20, we're going to take their suggestion and look for the verb first. Look for the action verb. If you found glued, you're correct. Now I could ask the question, who glued? What glued? It's a who glued question. And if you said Tina, you're correct. Just how did she glue? She glued it carefully. But how carefully did she glue? Very carefully. What did she glue? Tina glued what? A what is a direct object, so I draw that line up and down straight, and the direct object goes right here. Vase. What kind of vase? The vase. What kind of vase? Broken vase. Again, just as a refresher, it's not on here, but I always like to identify the parts of speech just to rehearse this. Tina's my subject, noun. Glued is my action verb. Glued what? The vase. Oh, it's a transitive verb because I have action transferred over here. Vase answers my what question, so it's a direct object. The broken modifies a noun, so these are both adjectives. Carefully answers how I glued it. This modifies my verb, so carefully is an adverb. Very modifies carefully. Very is another adverb that modifies an adverb. The next one, and probably the only last one I'll help you with, is number 21. You're probably still needing help with this definition of what is a participle. Don't forget, participles are the endings of verbals. Verbals are, it looks like a verb because I see some action in it, but actually it's functioning like another part of speech. These participles are the ending of the verbals ending in ed, t, en, or ing. So here, ing, ed, ing. These are our participles. And so I have a running brook. What kind of brook? A running brook. This is acting like an adjective. A rushed shopper. Rush is a verb, but rushed shopper describes the shopper, so it's acting like an adjective. Dance is definitely a verb, but when I say I love dancing, I'm telling you I love something. It's a thing, and so it actually becomes a noun in that kind of sentence. And we see that the ing, ed, ing, those are my participles. It's the ending of a verbal. You have time to do the rest. Don't forget to also study your spelling words. They're located in the back. We are on section 2 right now. For your edification, I will read the words out loud so you could hear them. Punctual, centennial, obsolete, eternity, interval, fortnight, prior, millennium, century, simultaneous, antediluvian, annual, continuous, decade, contemporary, epoch, archaic, perpetual, extinct, and era. Don't forget to study 1 through 10. You will have some special bonus words. I have a feeling that antediluvian will be in there.